Let's be honest. So, we've all agreed to some terms in dating that did not necessarily align to who we are or what we really wanted. And this is what it sounds like. It sounds like, oh, it's fine. Or I'm cool with it when deep down inside you know goodness well you are not. So listen to this. According to this dating site called MDD, 30% of the people say that they stay in relationships even if their feelings weren't being prioritized or being met. And I don't think that's rare at all. So I think it's actually real life. But what I want to get to is that feeling. Okay. All right. So that quiet, uncomfortable feeling, like when you're sitting by yourself and you realize that you agreed to something that you didn't really want. So that moment that you realize, like, dang, I played myself. Let's talk about that. All right, y'all. We're still in season 4 of the Girl Uprising podcast. And go ahead and get your tea, your water, your wine, whatever you need to listen better to this episode. And I have some notes. So here we go. Let's be honest. So we've all agreed to some terms in dating that did not necessarily align to who we are or what we really wanted. And this is what it sounds like. It sounds like, oh, it's fine. Or I'm cool with it when deep down inside you know goodness well you are not. So listen to this. According to this dating site called MDD, 30% of the people say that they stay in relationships even if their feelings weren't being prioritized or being met. And I don't think that's rare at all. So I think it's actually real life. But what I want to get to is that feeling. Okay. All right. So that quiet, uncomfortable feeling, like when you're sitting by yourself and you realize that you agreed to something that you didn't really want. So that moment that you realize, like, dang, I played myself. Let's talk about that. And more importantly, how do we stop doing it? Okay. So, girlies, let me take y'all back to something. Okay. We're going to share a little personal story. I remember when I was in college, right? I dated this dude, and or at least I thought we were dating. Um, he blatantly, like straight up told me, I don't want to be in a committed relationship. And I was like, okay. So instead of listening to what homeboy said, I convinced myself that he would change his mind, right? If I showed up as the best version of myself, he would eventually come around. He just don't know what he wants. Even though he's grown, he doesn't know what he wants yet. So like that delusion that we slip into sometimes, y'all know. I saw his potential and not what he was like presenting. And that was me for a moment. But what ended up happening, right? Those holidays came around. And I remember asking him, like, are you gonna like, am I going to your family's house? And the way that he looked at me was like, why would you think that I would invite you to my family's house? Girl, in that moment, I was just like, what am I doing? Like, this is a one sided relationship because I knew that I was not getting what I wanted. I knew that we weren't on the same page and I was crushed and I was embarrassed and I was lonely. Do y'all know that feeling? That is the cost of ignoring your boundaries. Okay. And we cannot ignore them. So when people say set boundaries, it seems easy, but it's not just about like saying no, it's about what you say yes to yourself about. It's the is this what I want, even if it results in me losing someone who I thought that I wanted. Because like here's the truth if we want to get down to it. Someone not wanting you in the same way that you want them, that isn't love. Like redirection, like, to be honest. And the way that you are setting boundaries, or the way that you should set a boundary for yourself, is like to communicate what you want. Like, be clear about what you want, even if the other person is like, I don't know, this isn't what I, okay, that's not what you want. And it's okay to kind of let them go. Not kind of, but let them go. Somebody else gonna want what you want, and you don't have to force them to do it. Another way that we can set boundaries is you don't convince anybody of the value that you bring. You shouldn't have to explain like why you're worth being committed to, right? You shouldn't have to beg someone to be consistent or show some effort. You have to respect yourself enough to be like, this isn't for me, and it's time for me to skedaddle. So like when you respect yourself, you show up, and you're not negotiating your peace just for like attention. We have to get to the point where we are okay with letting that go. If you've had a few situations like what I'm describing, where you know you shouldn't have stayed and you did, it's okay. Like we all go through it. But I would say this: before you jump back into another relationship, like, let's do some self work. Okay. So, what that looks like is this: you need to get some therapy or some counseling and start unpacking why you made certain decisions, right? Where did it come from? Like, do some self reflection and being honest with why you accepted what you accepted. Let's also get clear on what we actually want in a partner, or what type of relationship that we want, right? When you're healed, or you're in the process of healing, you date differently. Like, let's be honest. Like, you're able to see people and see certain situations for what they really are. And you're not constantly chasing somebody. You're able to be yourself and be okay with it. And like, that's the shift. That's where you stop settling and you start like standing on business. All right. So I know that maybe not even a few, but all of us can relate to a situation like that. You know, it's not about being bitter. It's not about living in the past. It's about just understanding what we've gone through and making better decisions. So if y'all can relate, and I'm sure you can, go ahead and drop the word standing. That's STANDING, standing, in the comments on whatever platform you're listening to. And let's start a conversation about making sure that we're getting our needs met in any type of relationship that we encounter. All right, y'all.